Hey SmugStick, it's everyone, and for the record, I've been doing that on purpose. But either way, welcome to the next part of What If Super Buu Was Good. Previously in this theory scenario, Universe 7's victory over Universe 6 prompted Zamasu's hatred for mortals to accelerate, with future Trunks showing up in the present and requesting everyone's help. Buu only accepted to come if he got to turn buildings into candy. But Goku Black wasn't really Goku Black. Instead, that version of Zamasu had switched bodies with Buu, and later absorbed a different reality's version of Goku. Thankfully, a team-up between a Trunks-absorbed Super Buu and Vegito managed to take down the monsters. But when Merged Zamasu started to spread through the universe, Super Buu had no option but to wrap himself around Zamasu and absorb him. His power increased tremendously, though he also acts a lot more pompous than usual. With the future saved, Trunks agrees to participate in the Tournament of Power, and this is where we pick up. Don't forget to smash that like button, and let's continue with the story. The Tournament of Power begins. The team for Universe 7 is composed of Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Piccolo, Trunks, Buu, Krillin, 18, 17, and Frieza. Goku wanted Roshi or Tien, but everyone has far surpassed them. Instead, he set someone in the back of his mind, Frieza. Everyone is worried, but Buu just stares him down. Last time they met each other, Buu turned Frieza into candy twice. Perhaps this time he'll get to eat him. Frieza thinks he can take him on now, but Buu is also far cockier than anyone remembers, with the Emperor promising to kill Buu and Goku after the tournament. As the tournament begins, everyone from Universe 7 seems to be doing okay, with some highlights including Trunks versus Kaba, as Vegeta watched on proudly. Their Gallic guns clashing was something to behold. Many things go on as normal, such as Frost knocking Krillin out of the ring, and Frieza defeating Frost. Buu in particular is defeating enemies left and right. He starts with the lowest, scurrying across the ground, sneaking up on foes, and absorbing people like Jimizu, Mona, and more. At first, other members don't really realize what's going on. They just assume that team members are being taken out. Buu even tries to absorb Jiren, only for the Grace Aura to stop the blob and be forced away. It was one of the few things that caught Jiren's attention, who finally stood up and tried to locate Buu. The Majin had already gone away, but seeing the Pride Trooper try to find Buu, Goku actually begins to charge a Spirit Bomb earlier than normal. After all, now that Jiren is up, he actually has a chance to fight him. But to his surprise, Jiren retorts, yelling at him that teaming up and defending a monster is something to be ashamed of. At first, Goku thinks he's talking about Frieza or even Vegeta. Jiren ignored his actions while it was other universes, but he's not going to allow him to consume the Pride Troopers. Goku's confused and ends up just launching the Spirit Bomb, a massive supercharged one, as Buu also gives his energy, similar to how Oob's energy supercharged Goku against Moro. Thus, Jiren has to expel out more force to push it back, and Goku unlocks Ultra Instinct Omen as a result. But with all of the attention drawn to Goku, Buu takes the chance to sneak around even more. The only time Goku was actually struck while in Ultra Instinct was when Kawaii shakes and screams out. Her whole team had disappeared. She was alone, with no chance of winning. In response to this, Frieza slapped her away with his tail and out of bounds. But instead of being erased, she remained. The Grand Priest cocked an eyebrow as he turned to Zeno, realizing that the rest of the team was not in fact on this stance.
But she's the only one out. Her team hasn't been eliminated yet.
Everyone looked confused. There was no one from Universe 4 around anymore. But Zeno thought that they very clearly lost, raising his hand up to the sky to erase Universe 3. Everyone looked around and wondered just exactly what it could have been. Goku and Jiren continued their battle, as sudden screams were heard around the arena. Toppo tried to get Jiren's attention, but nothing could take his concentration away from Goku, the selfishness of this Pride Trooper. Until one more time, Toppo pleaded for Jiren, as the Grey turned to look, only to see Kokote be absorbed by Super Buu. All the suspicions Jiren had were just confirmed. Buu absorbed all of the Universe 4 team. Buu simply cackled as he patted his stomach.
Mortals taste good.
Jiren and Toppo rushed towards Super Buu to stop him, but another cry came from the other side of the arena, as Caulifla was now being absorbed. Kaba and Kale tried to help, but that piece of Buu turns into spikes that pushes the Universe 6 Saiyans away. Gohan and Trunks run in to help, yelling at Buu that this isn't the way to do things. They need to take them out of the arena, not absorb them like this. Jiren proclaims that Universe 7 has no honor, that stealing someone's power like this, instead of defeating them fair and square, is proof that they are no martial artists. His aura exploded, but Kale finally broke, bursting against Buu and pushing Caulifla out of him in an epic clash. Gohan and Trunks tried to intervene, but Kale was attacking with no restraint, and other fighters were being taken out left and right. Buu continued to try to absorb Kale instead. Bits of Buu were scattered around the arena as more fighters began to be taken in. Toppo was enveloped, but Jiren sliced across Buu and saved his friend, while Dispo was too fast to be absorbed and instead saved many other warriors, until he sacrificed himself for Bergamo. In the end, he was a hero. Not everyone was as lucky, with 18 being absorbed, same with Ribrianne as she saved her fireballs. One of the pieces even launched itself at Goku, who avoided it with Ultra Instinct, but there were still pieces all around him, as if he was a primary target. They all jumped at him, but slowly they trickled down as Vegeta and Frieza rose to the challenge and blasted pieces themselves. But Ultra Instinct wasn't going to last forever, and with everyone trying to keep Buu away, Lavender fired a rogue blast at Goku, which he was forced to avoid and into the path of the Buu piece. Vegeta fired back to knock Lavender off of the arena, only to turn and see the unbelievable, as Frieza jumped before Goku and tried to blast the piece of Buu away, only for Red to grab his hand first and drag him towards Buu. Buu had been one of their greatest allies. Why was this happening? The gods demanded that the tournament be stopped and Buu disqualified, but Zeno found this very amusing. He wanted to see how this was going to go down.
Hey kids, don't go away. We'll be right back.
Our hero may be out there trying to save the universe from destruction, but not every galaxy is as lucky. Some will need your help. That's where today's sponsor comes in. Honkai Star Rail is a free cross-platform RPG sci-fi epic that's been awarded as the best mobile game at the 2023 Game Awards. From Hoyoverse, the makers of Genshin Impact, and recently arrived on PlayStation, where you can sync your data across it, PC, and mobile. Embark on a journey as a trailblazer in this turn-based RPG, with endless possibilities for great team lineups. As the future of Penacony is in your hands with version 2.3, as you're invited into the luxury ship, the Radiant Feldspar. Along with it, a host of new characters such as Firefly and Sam, a quiet girl who suits up for battle, becoming the powerful Sam. And then there's the elegant and dangerous Jade, one of the 10 Stonehearts, whose eyes are set on profit above all. The game looks like a gorgeous anime coupled with great voice acting in 4 languages. There's even new events like the arcade, where you can play as origami birds to battle in PvP Match 3 gameplay, along with popular characters returning, like Ruan Mei, and one of my personal favorites, Argenti, returning in the Warp. A free 10 pool is waiting for you, so log in for 7 days and get 10 Star Rail passes, which you can use to try and get Firefly and Sam and Jade. And be sure to use the code on screen to get 50 Stellar Jade. Use the link on screen or the pinned comment below to get started on your own amazing sci-fi adventure. Thanks to Honkai Star Rail for sponsoring this video.
And now back to our show.
The rest of the fighters continued to blast at Buu, but he responded back by firing a pretty black hole, one of Ribrianne's moves, sucking them all into one single point and cracking the ground below them. Zamasu must have had much more effect on Buu than they expected. With a deep breath, Jiren exploded the pretty black hole, and as the area cleared, they saw Super Buu, tentacles swinging from his back as a halo-like light appeared behind him. Jiren and everyone else began to charge their ki to blast down at Buu, but Goku and Gohan stood up. They knew that Buu could still be helped. If they killed him, then surely they would kill everyone else within too. Jiren scoffed. Some of his pride troopers were in there, but surely this was the cost. But as he rose his arm up again, Toppo grabbed it. He said that the Saiyans were right. They needed to find a way to free them first. Perhaps the Super Dragon Balls? No, they can't count on Zeno to give them to them. With no other recourse, Jiren yelled at everyone to fire. Blasts rained down like bullets, even though Toppo, Goku, and the others were trying to stop them. But as the storm dissipated, Buu remained floating above everyone, his aura flaring, showing the faces of those absorbed: Kale, 18, Frieza, and many other figures from the various universes. Jiren was perplexed. He had never faced an opponent like this. They turned to see as the remaining pieces of Buu that remained began to form into their own little Buus, each wearing different outfits representing the absorbed fighters. The main Buu cackled.
This is my chance. Now mortals will know what real godhood looks like. Lord Zeno, look upon the glorious might of Majin Buu. No, the might of Zamasu.
A thunder strike burst through the middle of the arena as Buu began to attack. Goku, Jiren, Vegeta, and Hit all focused on the main monster, as the rest tried their best to get rid of the others and avenge their allies. Android 17 was caught in the middle of a fight against one representing Android 18. He hated having to fight his own sister, especially when Buu used her face to stop an attack. Gohan and Trunks fought side by side against the Frieza one, who glowed a golden hue, though not everyone was lucky enough to avoid it. Goku explained that Buu's regeneration is impossibly effective, but above that, within him lives an immortal being. Vegeta interrupted, saying that it was actually a Rogue Kai from Universe 10. Jiren was shocked. An evil Kai? Why hadn't he ever heard of this? Before he got any chance to act, a blast came between them. They dodged, as Hit screamed out that they don't have any more time to waste. The team burst into their most powerful states, with Goku wishing he could use Ultra Instinct again. The battle began with a ferocious charge between Goku and Hit, as the assassin admitted that he had wanted to beat up Majin Buu for a while, ever since he beat him in the Universe 6 tournament. But Buu had a counter, swiping his head tentacle across, displaying Frieza's brutal strength and Ribrianne's magical abilities by launching a wave of heart-shaped ki bullets. Vegeta dove through the blasts, landing a few heavy blows, but Super Buu simply regenerated. Super Buu seemed to be growing more and more erratic, surely because of Kale's berserk state. Jiren and Buu clashed in the middle when Vegeta and Goku rushed from either side and kicked Buu in an X, but the Majin shape simply shifted to avoid them. They were just a distraction, as Hit came from behind like a bolt of fire. Buu responded with his own time skip, avoiding the kick and morphing around the assassin to absorb him. Jiren sliced through Buu to free him. Meanwhile, Caulifla stood in the back. She felt helpless. She should have been able to take care of herself. She cursed out loud. She dug into her pocket, looking at the Potara earrings Champa gave her and Kale. No doubt, if she was here, they could fuse into the Ultimate Saiyan and kick this Buu guy into the curb. But Vegeta snapped her out of it, yelling at her to watch out as the floor beneath her was turned into chocolate. She dodged, but thought of something. As she flew out to support Goku while he fired blast alongside Vegeta and Jiren, she spoke, asking if she can trust them. Jiren argued that it's their fault they're in this situation, but Caulifla didn't care. If she closed her eyes, she could sense Kale within Buu. She didn't care if this monster had to go down, but she wanted Kale back. As they finally pushed Buu back for a split second, Goku turned to look at her and told her that she can trust them. They will get everyone back. That was a promise. She took a deep breath and showed Goku the Potara, surprised to see that they already knew what this was. Goku thanked Caulifla and grabbed them. He called Vegeta's name and threw one at him. Buu saw a glimpse of this and fired a Keyblade at it, just for Jiren to deflect it. Vegeta caught the Potara with surprise. He knew this was their best bet. He still hated it, but with a simple nod to Goku, he placed it on. Something that looked like a small galaxy exploded in the middle of the stage, as from it, Vegito was born. Buu laughed maniacally.
What mortals had to rely on to even get a fraction of his power. A cheap copy of the glory of the gods.
But that thought was cut short as Vegito appeared in front of Buu. I know our friend Buu is still in there somewhere, but that doesn't mean I won't belt the others out of ya. In a flash, Vegeta punched Buu in the stomach as he went flying into the center pillar. All the other Boos left their own battles to try and attack him, but Jiren, Hit, and Vegito all rose up together, fighting the monster side by side. The Pride Trooper was impressed by this warrior. But would it be enough? Even after slicing clean through Buu, the fight was not easy for Vegito. The three warriors retreated back down, cupping their hands together to blast at Buu. As they did this, Caulifla and Gohan noticed something. The piece of Buu that was fighting Gohan was about to jump at the three warriors from behind. Jiren quickly turned to stop it as Caulifla and Gohan rushed to save them. Caulifla reached them just in time to watch as Vegito did something unexpected. Hit used time skip to try and escape, only to see Vegito look at him with a smirk. He had a plan? Caulifla reached them as well, as Vegito created a key orb around them all, with a piece of Buu enveloping them and dragging them within himself. The crowd fell silent. It was really over. With the big three absorbed, their hopes of winning had been sliced. The universes were doomed. Gohan and Trunks cried out. Kappa refused to believe that Caulifla, Hit, and Kale were gone, while Toppo swore to stop Buu. But the monster's laugh began to crack the pocket reality, claiming himself to be the new Omni King. He could feel power running through his veins, and soon enough, he would absorb him too. But Gohan realized something. As Toppo's aura erupted to rush in and fight, he stopped Trunks from running in too, because Buu's clothes hadn't changed. In reality, within Buu, the key orb landed. Jiren, Hit, Vegito, and Caulifla were all safe and sound within him. Jiren grabbed Vegito by the shirt and shook him. What was his deal? Was he working with Buu? Hit interrupted by saying that if he was, they wouldn't be talking. It seemed like they were inside the monster. This place is similar to the one we saw in Dragon Ball Z, but with echoes of Zamasu throughout. It was a dark and gloomy place, removed from all hope. This was the reason why Zamasu had such an impact on Buu. When he absorbed him, Zamasu was already spreading through the universe. By taking the god into himself, Zamasu completely filled Buu. Caulifla was already walking ahead of everyone. She didn't want to be there, but if this was how they would save Kale, then so be it. They all followed the key signatures, but they knew that danger was ahead. As suddenly, Caulifla caught sight of a familiar figure in the distance, Kale. With a burst of speed, she ran towards her friend, arms outstretched for a hug, but instead of being embraced, she was slapped across the face and into the wall. This was not Kale, but a ghostly replica infused with Buu's energy. The shock of the betrayal and realization dawned on Caulifla as she touched her cheek, but she knew this wasn't Kale, and she wasn't going to allow her to use her best friend's face against her. Vegito knew what was going on, as more ghost warriors appeared. Frieza, 18, Ribrianne, and Dispo, each exuding a hostile energy. Vegito smirked, stepping forward to engage Frieza and 18 simultaneously. It was a flurry of punches and energy blasts. He didn't like having to fight his friends, but he had to admit he was having fun. It was clear to Vegito that he'd be able to push them to the edge and defeat them. As the intensity of the fights escalated, the time limit of the fusion ended. Vegito defused back into Goku and Vegeta, and now each had to face their individual opponent. Though the defusion surprised them, Goku wasted no time in bursting into Super Saiyan Blue to continue the fight against Frieza. But Golden Frieza was something else. It was a tough battle, but seeing the way Caulifla was struggling against Kale, Goku knew he had to win and help her. At that moment, for a second, Goku burst into Ultra Instinct Omen and punched Frieza out of existence. At the same time, Vegeta faced 18, and with a barrage of energy blast combined with Super Saiyan Blue evolution, he took down the android. Caulifla was the one having the most trouble, having to face her closest friend. She just kept on hesitating when attacking, and for a second there, tears actually blurred her vision. Just as Kale's replica prepared a devastating blow, Goku intervened, shouting encouragement, and together with their combined powers, they fired a Kamehameha and an energy burst cannon to finally subdue this twisted version of Kale. Jiren confronted Dispo with a silent, grim determination. Dispo's speed was incredible, but Jiren's sheer power and ability allowed him to predict his movements, catching Dispo mid-dash and immobilizing him with a powerful grip. With a subdued expression, Jiren whispered an apology before delivering a knockout blow. Hit, meanwhile, faced Ribrianne, whose love-themed attacks seemed almost comical against the time skip and the seriousness of Hit, but she wasn't to be underestimated. Finally, with a well-timed time skip and cage, he landed a decisive blow, ending the battle. On the outside, Super Buu unleashed havoc against the remaining warriors, who stood up bravely against him. The sky above the world of Void flickered with energy. The gods wanted to intervene, but the Grand Priest made it clear that this was not allowed. Beerus was getting desperate. Toppo had unleashed his God of Destruction form, launching destructive energy at Super Buu, but his regeneration was unmatched. 17 and Piccolo combined their attacks, creating openings for Bergamo, Kaba, and the others. He continued to try incense for Vegito within Buu, when suddenly his eyes widened.
The fusion. It's undone.
He said telepathically to everyone.
They're fighting from inside to free everyone.
Toppo was surprised by this revelation. The idea of Jiren being part of an effort to not just save his universe but everyone.
Jiren, the greatest hero.
He murmured in response to Piccolo. Now that they knew the fighters were okay, they were fighting with hope. Inside Buu, Jiren and the others felt Piccolo's message ripple through their consciousness. The Grey felt an unfamiliar surge of connection to his allies outside. Hearing Toppo's faith in him, it softened his demeanor. For a moment there, he allowed himself to truly feel as part of a team, as he continued further into Buu, finally reaching the core. It was a grotesque gallery of the absorbed, their forms partially fused into the walls and floors of Buu's inner sanctum. At the heart of the chamber was an ominous cocoon, where Merged Zamasu's essence glowed. Beside it, Grey Buu loomed silently. Caulifla's eyes locked onto Kale. The entire chamber shrouded violently, as outside, Buu was weakened and struck by blasts from Gohan and Trunks. Suddenly, a colossal face of Zamasu materialized, changing into Super Buu.
Fools! This is my domain! I don't need your disgusting body if I can just control you instead. I'll sacrifice this if it means killing you and Trunks.
From Zamasu's own cocoon, something was released. Another being who laid on the ground before rising and looking at Goku. They stared each other down before the new Goku's eyes sparkled red, and he attacked. Out of thin air, two Ghost Warriors, one of Zamasu and one of Super Buu, attacked the others. Jiren, hitting Goku, sprang into action. As the battle raged, Vegeta and Caulifla worked frantically to free more fighters. Vegeta, grumbling with every fiber of his being, finally reached Frieza, and with a scowl, ripped the tyrant off the wall. Each extraction seemed to drain Super Buu a little bit more. As each warrior was freed, Zamasu's cocoon began to pulsate more and more, screaming not to release Zamasu. The pressure of having to fight himself once again, a being who matched his movements one-to-one, began to surge something within Goku, as Zamasu continued to yell in the distance that he is nothing, that he hated having to use a mortal like him to achieve his goal, that no matter what, he will never reach the gods. At that moment, a flame reignited within Goku. He could really see himself reflected in this other Goku, one who is a slave to the gods, unlike himself, who saw them as challenges for him to reach. He almost felt bad for him, and though their powers were similar, this new Goku was obviously weaker. But if they didn't get rid of the Ghost Warriors fast, then those on the outside will suffer even greater. At that moment, Goku reignited Ultra Instinct, pushing back against the enemies. Together, they all launched a coordinated assault. Jiren yelled at Goku to focus on Zamasu while they attacked the bad guy Goku, a little too enthusiastically, as if they were really mad at him for some reason. Something Jiren and Hit noticed was that compared to the other Ghost Warriors they were fighting before, who did not seem to have access to their full moveset, this Goku seemed more agile, smarter, and creative when it came to attacks. It took more from Jiren and Hit than they expected, but together they were able to subdue the Super Saiyan God once Vegeta joined in the fight to gloat about knowing his weakness, leaving him in the dust. Meanwhile, the Zamasu and the Super Buu clone attacked Goku and Caulifla, standing back to back. Caulifla struggled against the Zamasu clone, while the Super Buu clone continued to attack Goku, accidentally turning a cell into chocolate. All the Ghost Warriors tried to stop Goku, but the Saiyan swiftly moved between each attack, until finally reaching Zamasu. The ghosts of Super Buu and Zamasu jumped at him from behind, but Jiren, Hit, Caulifla, and Vegeta all got in the way, unleashing their own attacks to keep them at bay. Now it was up to Goku, getting a hold of the Zamasu cocoon and ripping it off, as all the Ghost Warriors dissipated. Outside, Super Buu was in agony. Toppo thought that this was their chance, but Gohan stopped them. He approached the monstrous figure. Buu, you have to remember who you are. You have friends who care about you. Mr. Satan, B, all of us. Buu initially resisted, lashing out in pain and confusion, but the mention of his friends, especially Mr. Satan and B, something within himself stirred. His eyes, filled with turmoil, met Gohan's and whispered,
Gohan.
A flicker of the Buu they knew. Buu began to tear himself apart, trying to expel out the malicious influence of Zamasu.
I want chocolate. I want to fight Goku. I want to see Mr. Satan. I want Zamasu out.
His voice echoed across the arena, a blinding light enveloping him. At the exact same time, Zamasu yelled at the team inside that mortals are foolish for pushing away their own savior. Screams and steam filled the room. Everything began to shake. Everything gods can do, we mortals can too. But they needed to get out of there. The steam was filling up. Just then, Piccolo's voice echoed in their minds.
What's happening in there?
Goku explained, but now they had no way to escape. The pores seemed to close off with the steam. Zamasu's last gambit was frying them all within Buu. That's when Jiren stepped forward.
I have a plan. Tell Toppo to prepare an attack from the outside. On my signal, we'll synchronize and blast Buu apart from both sides.
Toppo was initially hesitant, fearing the risk of harming those inside, but Jiren replied,
Remember our missions, Toppo. Trust is the foundation. You taught me that. I trust you.
Toppo realized the change in Jiren. They all began to gather their energy, but the first attempt faltered. The sync was just off. Time was slipping away. In a spark of inspiration, Goku started a rhythmic chant, one which nearly caused Vegeta to barf. Super Buu's form, overwhelmed by the coordinated blast, shuddered violently. However, just as they rushed out of there, Goku noticed something on the floor. It kinda looked like himself, as if his body was laying at the foot of pure Evil Buu's cocoon. The steam made it look like the body disappeared like the Ghost Warriors. As Buu exploded from both sides, the fighters were propelled outwards, and as the dust settled, the saviors emerged, scattered around the remnants of the arena. They were battered, but alive. Buu was now in a normal state, laying nearby, confused but no longer under the influence of Zamasu. Toppo approached Jiren, clapping him on the shoulder, while Caulifla hugged Kale. And Dispo reunited with the troopers. 18 chastised 17 for not going in there, and Frieza simply stood back up, crossing his arms. He hated having to be saved by the Saiyans. But it was all interrupted as Zeno clapped happily. This tournament went far beyond his expectations. With teamwork like that, there may not be a need to destroy any universe. Even the gods of destruction and the angels clapped at the display, as commanded by the Grand Priest. Unity, for once, was achieved between universes, all for the sake of saving their friends. Jiren began to walk towards Buu, alongside the Pride Troopers. He needed to be punished, but the Z Fighters stood up to them. He wasn't the issue. He was under control of an evil god.
Evil?
They turned to see the deformed Merged Zamasu twisting, his face still sliced in half, with energy pouring out.
My dream was the perfect reality.
The fighters got information to fight, only to watch as Zamasu laughed and began to melt down, turning into pure energy as his face spread through the world of void. He was becoming one with it. The gods of destruction got ready to attack, but Zeno told them to stop. He smiled as he rose above them all, his unlimited power filling the universe. Zamasu's screams echoed. The last thing they saw before they reappeared was Zeno destroying the entire world of void, with Zamasu remaining inside. It was all over, as the fighters from various universes were teleported to Universe 11 alongside the Super Dragon Balls. The Pride Troopers circled around Buu. Gowazu even stood up, vouching for Super Buu, saying that if anything, this is his fault, as that was his student that corrupted Buu. Zeno wondered if he should erase him because of that, but Universe 7 and a few others told him that maybe that's a little drastic. Everything's taken care of now. Goku also vouched for Buu, saying that he may have started as a villain, but thanks to his many friends on Earth, he's turned into a good guy and has helped against evildoers many times. If anything, Frieza's really the bad one here. Jiren's eyes softened, considering Goku's words.
If Goku believes in his redemption, I will trust his judgment for now.
His gaze shifted to Buu, who slowly regained his senses. But his stomach then growled, wishing he had turned the entire world of void into candy instead. But still he apologized. It was Goku who clapped him gently on the back, reassuring him, "We're just glad to have you back." The Grand Priest announced that the Super Dragon Balls were to be awarded to Jiren for his crucial role of leadership. Jiren stood before them, their glow reflecting through his eyes. He remembered his initial wish to resurrect his master, to seek vengeance, but everything had changed.
I wish for the restoration of the universe that was destroyed. Let them have another chance, as we have ours.
As the wish was granted, a new light shone across the faces of those present.
This tournament was really fun. Let's see how the universes continue to grow and change.
Goku turned to Jiren and hit, grinning. Next time we meet, let's test our strength as friends. Really see how far we can push each other. Jiren nodded and smiled.
I look forward to that day, Son Goku.
The fighters returned to their universes, and they all celebrated at Universe 7. For some reason, Super Buu did keep the turtle gi on. He didn't really think much of it. He was just kinda happy he had such an incredible fight, from what he remembered, of course. And he hoped to see them again. But his stomach growled. His priorities was definitely some Paozu cooking. As Future Trunks ate, he looked around, realizing just how lucky he was to have this new family. He knew his time in the present was limited, so he should enjoy it while he can. Being around Super Buu still made him nervous, but the way he acted around Gohan and Mr. Satan put him at ease. Though he still seemed a little too eager to fight, saying that he wants one more good match, maybe against the Great Saiyaman, Gohan suggested, suiting up and flying off to give the citizens a good spectacle. Trunks only hoped that everyone could have a little bit of peace. But the adventures aren't over just yet. Next, what if Super Buu turned good? Thanks for watching, everyone. Let me know what you thought of Zamasu Buu in the comments below. It was something different I wanted to do, and I think it turned out a lot of fun. As always, a huge thank you to the patrons of the channel who get to watch videos like this early. And if you're looking for more Dragon Ball content, be sure to check out my playlist of What If Goku Landed on Yardrat. The final part is coming soon, and it is one of my personal favorite stories.